Good afternoon. So it's third day of SUSECon. It's half past 4. You're still here. You're all heroes to us now. So let's get going. Michiel, who are you exactly?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michiel Pene. I'm working for ITQ Belgium since around 5.5 years, I think. A bit nervous today because it's my first public presentation I'm giving, so apologies if I make any mistakes. I will do my utmost best. I started initially as a VDI consultant, but around 2 years ago I shifted my focus to the cloud native world. Did a lot of experimenting in my home lab and became Kubestronaut end of last year. So I like it very much. And if I'm not behind my laptop or working in my home lab, I also play some accordion in a local folk dance group. Yeah, what about you?
Working at ITQ is a little over 4 years as business developer for ITQ Belgium. Call me sales with a passion for IT. When I'm not working, I play video games and competitive table tennis. But it's not about us, it's about the application, and to be honest, it's always been about the application. So while the Apple II was one of the biggest feats of engineering in computing history, fitting all the components in a small white plastic box was revolutionary, but it really hit mainstream when they had their killer application with VisiCalc, so the very first spreadsheet. And the same could be said for the x86 platform by IBM. So again, a spreadsheet. It's not very exciting, but it's the truth. So it made more or less the x86 platform the standard that we still use today, even with all the new competitors. It's still the standard in servers and in much of home computing. But the inverse is also true. Don't laugh. I had one of these in a bright orange version. It's a Windows phone made by Nokia, and honestly, it was a great piece of hardware and with a great operating system, even if it was Microsoft. But truly, it was very snappy for its time. But it had one major issue. It had no apps. So all the apps available in the store, you can see on the screen. So yeah, like 3 years later, Microsoft pulled the plug and ceded the ground to iOS and Android. And to put it to the topic of today, yeah, I've always been a PC gamer, but let's say that console gamers were not jealous of PC gamers until Doom came out, which by itself, software that was fantastically engineered, frames per second that was unheard of on a platform that is not made for games. And before it was more the territory of niche strategy games like Masters of Orion, stuff like that. So yeah, an app makes the platform, but we're willing to do a lot for a platform, for the application as well. Anyone remember these? Yeah, so I don't know if I spent more time creating boot disks than playing the actual games, but for those too young to remember, so you had like 640 kilobytes of base memory. Don't ask me for the technical details, but basically you had to sometimes load the CD-ROM driver, sometimes the Sound Blaster, the mouse, and so on, and a balancing act that changed with each video game you wanted to play. But we did it because we wanted to reach the application. So far, the application, that's key, but yeah, it still needs a platform. The application doesn't run without a platform, but that's small scale. What happens if you scale up to an enterprise? Yeah, I know it's not one application per platform, but bear with me, you know what I mean. There are two major issues that come into play when you start scaling at the enterprise level. One is technologically. In reality, you have a lot of legacy applications that go back a long time, and they still, it's not that easy to replace them or to refactor them. One of our Belgian customers, a big retailer, of course, they have applications going back to the 80s and 90s to do stock management and to stock the shelves and change the pricing and so on. It's a bit of a challenge to refactor it, and it has to run besides the new SaaS-based applications or the more cloud-native applications, meaning that the poor employees at the retailer have to log in like 1 million times into their tablet and then into the VDI environment and then into the browser within the VDI and so on, which brings me to the other problem, people. Not those people, those are ITQ people, they're great, but it's usually, and it's not about malice, it's not about the people not wanting to collaborate, but yeah, it's usually more boring than that, honestly. It's not about sabotage or great conspiracies. It's about priorities. You know, sometimes you need some information from HR to do something with an application, or some information or collaboration from a team in another time zone, and then they also have to make it a priority and sit together with you and so on. So it becomes very complicated very fast, and that's usually where things stop moving. But of course, the platform engineers, they have a strict deadline, they have instructions by management to move forward, and they like playing with new toys. So, Michiel, what happens when they start building the platform?
Yeah, sure. So as a platform engineer, we of course want to build a beautiful platform for our developers. And we start with a basic infrastructure, a Kubernetes cluster, some control plane nodes, some worker nodes that we can use to run all our workloads on it. And on top of that, we can add a bunch of features. We can add a load balancer to access our applications. We add Longhorn to support storage for our applications. We install our own internal image registry for Harbor. We install OpenTelemetry so we can get all the logs anywhere we want. We, of course, need to have some dashboards and metrics for management. Also some cost calculations that we can do. So in the end, we end up with a whole bunch of features, and we have a very nice platform. Let's take that to our developers.
Yeah, so this is the platform, guys. So I'm the developer. So yeah, Michiel comes up to the parking lot with a fantastic story, like shiny.
This is our nice new platform, Jan. What do you think about it?
Yeah, the platform has CarPlay, I guess.
Yes, indeed.
So the thing is, I have this this new application. So yeah, can it run on the platform? What do you think?
Yeah, we might have a bit of a problem indeed. Yes.
Yeah. So and that's what we see at customers. So and it's not the platform engineers. They went in with passion, like new toys to play with, and we're going to build something. We're going to make a Kubernetes, and then you end up with this. So let's start over again, Michiel. Maybe.
Okay.
Let's start from the application.
Let's build indeed a platform while communicating with our customers, being the developers, of course. So, Jan, what is the application that you want to run on our new platform?
I'm thinking about a 1993 first-person shooter. You have something like that?
Yeah, I think with Doom, maybe? Would that be a good fit?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Let's go for Doom. Yeah.
Okay. And do you know how it will be delivered?
Floppy disk is...
Yeah, we can add a bunch of features to our cluster, but floppies is not one of them, I'm afraid.
Container as plan B.
That could be the perfect fit indeed.
Okay. What a great coincidence.
So how will the end users use the application then?
Well, it would be nice if we can play deathmatch during a lunch break when the boss is not around.
Sure, indeed. I'm not sure about the productivity time then, but okay. For now, it's a live demo that we will be giving here, so you will use a VNC viewer just to show what the client would actually see, of course. How would it land on the platform?
Honestly,
you know?
I'm doing the application. I don't care how it lands on the platform, if that's okay for you.
Okay, then we will figure this out. No problem.
That's roles and responsibilities, a technical term for this. Okay. So that's what we start with. But when we start building a platform around an application, the representative application, and we take our BFG, then what is left? Well, there's still one left, Michiel?
There's still one left indeed. We have our cluster, of course, and we need some kind of a way to get access to the workloads running on it, so we just install the load balancer. And that's basically everything we need for your application right now.
Yep.
Later on, we can add new things, but for now, that will do it.
All right, let's see if it works.
Okay. Demo time, the moment you've all been waiting for, of course.
So
I have to tell you, yesterday we tried it here. The Wi-Fi is completely overloaded, so that was a no-go. The guys from the video and audio support did a great job giving us an internet cable, but still was not good enough. And on top of that, my wife called me last evening that there was a power outage at our home, so my home lab was completely down. But no worries, I will not disappoint you. I was in a session yesterday called Rancher Desktop. I said, how? What if I just install Rancher Desktop on my laptop and just run it on my own Kubernetes cluster locally? So that's what I did, and I can give you a live demo today.
So what we're saying, if it doesn't work, it's SUSE's fault.
So this is my dashboard from the Rancher Desktop cluster. What we can see here, finding the mouse, yeah, we have just one node, of course. It's the desktop Rancher Desktop VM that is running a Kubernetes node. And for the workloads, yeah, nothing is running on it. It's a complete empty cluster. The load balancer, it's an integrated one here. You won't see it, but it's not the one that we supposed to use in the original demo. If we then look at our installation configuration, let's say, then it's a very basic setup. We have a repository. We have some configuration files here, a basic namespace that we will create, a service account for our application, and of course some permissions to make it run. And we have our main application deployment configuration, where we specify where to run it, how many replicas, what image it needs to use. Like I said, we don't have an internal registry yet, so that will be something for the future release, but for now we'll just grab it from the internet. We specify a port so we can connect to it with VNC, and everything should be working fine. And last but not least, I'm creating a load balancer here so we can access it from outside of the cluster, of course. So if everything goes well, we should be able to apply this. Let me just make sure that we're on the correct, yes. I see my node, that's fine. So I will just apply my configuration files. Everything nicely created. Everything looks very good. Let's have a look at our Rancher dashboard. We can see there is a deployment here running now. A single pod running. Everything is green, it looks nice. There is a service, the load balancer here. So we should be able to access our application now. Okay. It always comes on the wrong screen, of course. We have a little bit of security.
Next year, multi-factor.
Yeah, indeed. Et voilà. Right. We have our Doom. So we can start playing around.
It goes a lot faster than remote.
It is indeed a lot faster. I'm just going to shoot some people there because otherwise they will shoot me.
Yeah, it's self-defense.
And the game will be over.
Self-defense, yeah.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, voila. If you want to play with it, don't do it in production because it needs full admin permissions on your cluster, so do it in your home lab.
Right, so, yeah. What have we done here? So, to prove that it's the application. So don't get distracted by all the shooting and so on. It's so what is important for us, and honestly, as a sales, it's sometimes very difficult to get everyone together at the customer in the same meeting room. But we don't start projects with cloud native platforms if we don't have the platform engineers and developers in the same room. It has no point. We need to know how their application works, and we need to pick an application that's representative, start from there, but also leave the door open for the future iterations, of course, that what other applications you want to run on top of it afterwards, or something that's still in development, and so on and so on. So take that into account, but start with a small scale and move from there. It also builds trust between the two teams. And usually when we get into the picture as an external consultant, some work has been done internally already, and there might also already be some frustrations sometimes. So it's good to build trust, that you start small, you get success together, and sometimes the developers can hand over some responsibility to the platform engineers that they didn't know they could handle. Like, hey, maybe you can do the backup, or you can do the availability, so we don't have to program it with each iteration into the application. So yeah, start small and don't leapfrog from the platform engineering side. Don't go to the end solution from the first step. Build slow and work with your developers, because they are your customers here. It's and management always, but in essence, it's the developers. They're the customers of the platform engineers. And then when it's in a good state, we iterate. So what could be the next step, Michiel?
Well, I suggest we add some metrics and some nice dashboards where we can see my high scores, of course.
Good point. And then Space Invaders and yeah.
Yeah, we can add extra tools and games, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Thanks. Any questions? Or maybe a question to you guys. Have you seen the same? Who's on the platform side of the equation? Okay, that's about half, more than half. And who is on the developer side more? Okay, we don't judge.
I guess we have a lot of managers in the room also.
Yeah, man. Who's management? Yeah. Has anyone seen something similar? Want to share? It's a big question. So, any questions for us? Okay, then big thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, okay.
And for Michiel, his first presentation, how did it?
But can it run?
Not locally
Crisis.
here. No,
yeah.
not locally. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because
The question.
it was running on the Rancher desktop, but that's running inside a virtual machine. So I had to do a port forwarding to my virtual machine. That's why it's... normally in the other demo, it would have been directly to the load balancer address. Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. It's freely available if you search for Cube Doom. I guess Google will now be spammed with Cube Dooms.
No, we built it ourselves.
Yeah, we didn't go that far in the demo indeed, but there is an option that you specify a namespace where you have other pods running, and instead of killing enemies, you kill pods.
Yeah, indeed. That's the next iteration.
That's why you need admin privileges, of course.
All right.
No other questions? Okay, thank you very much. If you have any questions, our contact details are on the screen. Don't hesitate to get in touch with us. Thank you.